everybody, this is Dan O'Sullivan from Angler.com, and I wanted to bring you your latest Seaguar hook points tip involving using braided line with the fluorocarbon leader, and specifically the knot that I tie to join the two lines for use. The use of braided line on a spinning rod has become incredibly popular. It saves money, it creates better hook sets with a low stretch. The only downfall that I see with it is that in water that's deeper than about 20 feet, the braided line floats, so it creates some managing of the line. So if I go deeper than about 20-25 feet, I tend to use straight fluorocarbon at that point. Most of the time here, don't have to worry about that because I'm fishing in fairly shallow water. So I use Seaguar Smackdown 20-pound test on my spinning gear. This happens to be the Stealth Gray, but on a spinning gear, when I'm finesse fishing, I'm going to use the Flash Green, which you can see right here. It's fluorescent green and it shows up really well. I tie that to a Seaguar Tatsu leader, usually 6 to 8 pound line depending on the clarity of the water. And also, just it helps with the feel to have thinner line on a finesse bait. So in order to tie this knot, it's an Albright Special. That's what I use. It's a simple knot to tie. There's other knots out there that people espouse and they work. They're great knots. Some of them are just way too complicated, and but to each his own. But here's the knot that I tie, the Albright Special. I've used this in bass fishing. I've caught big fish on it. I've even used this on 65-pound braid with 30-pound leaders for bull redfish at Venice with the fernets down there. So it works. The knot works. And the great thing about it is you can tell immediately once you tie it if you tied it right. So I set up my line, because I'm right-handed, I set up my line to work with my dexterity. So I put the loop, you make a double, kind of like you're going to do a Palomar knot, but you make a double loop with, just make a loop with your fluorocarbon. I do that in my left hand. And I take my Smackdown in my right hand and I drop this through the top of the loop. So you can see that I've got that there. And then I pinch with my thumb and my forefinger. Now I pinch these together and I use my ring finger and my pinky and my lips to tie the knot. Now I'm going to make 13 loops with this thin line. Wraps, I mean. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 loops, going back up the double loop right there. Then I take this and I stick it through the bottom end right here of the double loop. You see it's coming back back upwards where the first pass went downwards. So here's where you're going to find out if your knot was good or not. If I snug this down and I take both ends of the knots and I start to snug it down, now I want to control this and keep it smooth. And you can see that it's all coming together. It's stacking really well and everything works. Now I want to snug this, get it wet, and snug it together. Now if I take these two main lines right here and I pull and it unravels, then I came in the wrong direction with my loop and I have to retie. But as you can see, really snug. So now, because this is a snug knot and it's small, and because it doesn't slip, I want to cut it as close as I can. And the best tool for that is a pit bull tackle stainless steel cutter. And I want to get the tag end and I want to cut it as close as I can and clean as I can to the knot itself. And the same thing with the fluorocarbon. Make sure you get the tag end and not the main line, and cut that off real tight to the knot. You can see that. Very small. It's nowhere near double the size. It's going to go through the guides really easily and it's not going to knock around in there. So now what I do is I take my reel right here and I reel, keep a little tension on it, I always do. Keep a little tension here and I reel this up till the knot comes into my fingers and goes into the spool. You can see right here, here's the splice right here. And then I make 2 more turns of the reel handle. And I cut the line off. And what I have is the knot, when I'm casting, is going to be barely in the spool. It's going to go through the guides easily, and I've got 8-9 feet of leader to work with throughout a day, that when I tie on bait after breaking off and having to fix things, I have created a situation where I can fish all day with the same leader unless it gets frayed, and then I can easily tie this on the water. And I do carry Tatsu in the boat to retie. So the Albright Special is my favorite knot. I've used it on many different situations, many different settings, on spinning gear and up into bait casting gear as well. Doesn't really work super well in big line with micro guides, but in most other situations it works. So this is the Albright Special Flash Green Smackdown Tatsu 6 to 8 pound leader material, and it's my favorite knot to use. Easy to tie, very effective, and that's your Seagar Hook Points tip of the week.
And if you don't know, now you know.